All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this beautiful planet. Welcome to the Inner Circle Live Pretty York session. I'm your host for this morning's session, Benny Allen, and I'm definitely happy and grateful for each and every one of you being here with me this morning as we take a look at the technicals and the fundamentals to see what we could take advantage of in this awesome Forex market. So, without further ado, let's make sure that we turn off any and all distractions. Grab a pen and paper, take lots of notes. And as always, let's make sure that we can participate and engage today, right? If everybody can hear me loud and clear, do me a huge favor. Drop me a one in the chat. Let me know that my microphone is all good and we are all set and ready to go. All right. I see the ones coming in. Good morning, everybody. Blessed morning to you as well, Yasina. All right. So each and every day, right? Forex Trade Room Credo, we want to make sure that we are accepting all possible losses before entering a trade, preparing you for any outcome. Let's make sure that we center ourselves in body, mind, and spirit, ensuring a balanced approach to trading. Let's continue to trust in our education, strategy, trading skills, and intuition. And as always, let's imagine our trades successfully materializing and that we are obeying our trading strategy, avoiding decisions based on greed and fear. And we want to make sure that we are never, ever looking back or stopping once our trade has commenced. So each and every morning, we want to take massive action. So with that being said, all right, let's do just that. Let's take massive action. Move on over to the Forex factory first, right? To see what's going on for this, what is already August 15th, pretty much already halfway through the month. And we start out right this morning taking a look at GDP for the UK came through flat month over month. Quarter on the quarter came through at forecast at 0.6%. Construction output month over month came in positive, right? So that's good. Moving over to trading economics, right? We see that as front page. The British economy expanded 0.6% quarter over quarter in Q2, following a 0.7% rise in Q1. And in line with forecast, preliminary estimates showed a rise in services, gross capital formation, government and household spending offset a decline in industry and net trade, right? So still seeing some growth, right? Not seeing a contraction overall as far as GDP, right? We know the technical recessions, technically they say, right, 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP. Well, we don't have it out of the UK. That is good. Right back over to Forex Factory. Hey, we've got for the United States, right? Big number today, right? Core retail sales. What is the consumer doing, right? Are we still spending, right? Is it slowing down, right? Based on, the cost of everything being so high, we will see, right? So core retail sales month over month is expected to be 0.1%. Retail sales month over month 0.4%. And then we also have unemployment claims today, right? So the forecast is 236,000. We will see what happens. We also have Empire State Manufacturing Index, Philly Fed Manufacturing, right? So we kind of get a inside look on what's going on as far as manufacturing goes here in the United States. Then we have, right, we've got an FOMC member actually speaking today. So that may be interesting to see what they have to say. We have another FOMC member, Harker, speaking. We've got natural gas storage report coming out 7:30. We've got Bullock speaking. From the Reserve Bank of Australia. And later tonight, we have um, Reserve Bank of New Zealand Governor Orr speaking as well. So a lot of officials speaking today. When you look at the United States, New Zealand, and Australia, so we will see what happens coming out of that, right? Um, Aussie, right? Last night, 9:30, employment change, unemployment rate. So unemployment change came in at 58.2K, and the unemployment rate, right, creeped up a bit, 4.2%. So we know that the rhetoric coming out of the Reserve Bank of Australia has been right, somewhat hawkish, I would say. So we'll see what happens if there's any change in that rhetoric. later on this evening, coming on the heels of that report, right? So we'll watch that for Australia. Coming over, taking a look at the DXY, okay? The dollar index steadied around 102.7 on Thursday, but remained close to its weakest levels in 7 months. As further evidence that U.S. inflation is moderating, boosted confidence on Federal Reserve interest rate cuts. The annual headline inflation rate in the United States slowed to 2.9% in July, 3% in June, defying market expectations for no change, and registering the lowest read since March 2021. Meanwhile, the core inflation gauge rose in line with expectations. Earlier this week, data also showed that producer prices edged 0.1% higher from the previous month in July, below expectations of a 0.2% increase. While core producer prices were unexpectedly flat, markets are fully priced in for a Fed rate cut in September, but remain divided, right, on whether it'll be 25 or 50 basis point reduction. Whether it be a 25 or 50 basis point reduction, the dollar nursed losses against most major currencies, but held steady on the yen and continued to rise versus the Kiwi, right? So retail sales, right? Will it provide us with further evidence, right? That will lead to what will lead to even more confidence that the Fed, right, is going to cut rates in September, right? We see that the market is fully priced it in. It's just a matter of whether it's going to be 25 or 50 basis points, right? So let's keep our eyes on the retail sales data coming up, right, this morning. Any questions on any of the fundamentals that we've covered?
Nope.
Nope. All right, all right. So moving on over, right? Let's take a look at the quant box, right? Look at the heat map, okay? Seeing what's going on. We'll go to the dashboard first, right? So we look at it and we see that, right, daily bias as far as risk on, risk off, right? Not risk off, not deep into the red, not deep into the red anymore. We'll see what happens, right? It's gonna hover there probably until we get through the retail sales data this morning. But it's come a long way back, right? So it wasn't too long ago that it was definitely risk off based on, you know, some of the US data that had came out, jobs numbers or what have you, unwinding, right? Carry trade in Japan, all that good stuff. VIXI was up through the roof. Now the VIXI has come way down, way down. So we'll see what happens on the heels of the retail sales numbers today out of the US. Moving over, right? We'll take a quick look at the heat map and we will see, right? NASDAQ up, Bitcoin up, the Nikkei, right? So look at our indices, right? S&P 500. Okay, so we got those going in the right direction. Copper, right? Look at our commodities. Silver and copper is up, right? Look at our Aussies. Right? They're up for the most part. Gold, oil, the Dow, right? So we can take a look at a lot of those today. The DAX, the UK 100 is up, right? So, you know, things are back on the upswing after the huge correction, which is kind of what we were thinking, right? For the most part. So it's looking pretty good. So we look at our Aussie pairs, our commodity currencies, right? Showing some movement to the upside, right? That Aussie at least, right? And then we see some here, the New Zealand versus the US dollar. Made a push right as the dollar has tailed off. The Euro CAD, right, coming out of the weekend, we were looking at some of those Euro plays, looking at the daily and those swing lows, right? Those have been moving in a positive direction. And then we could see what has been moving, you know, to the downside as well. All right. So that's our heat map. We'll go over and take a look at our overall scorecard summary. So We can see, look, gold still, guys, right? Theme of the year, gold still screaming bullish, right? U.S. 10-year Treasury, euro dollar, of course, with the dollar, right, moving to some major lows. We'll see what happens with that today. Euro CAD, right? Like I said, that was one we were tracking as making good movement, right? So good movement on a lot of the pairs, right? We always want to check to see, hey, are we moving in the right direction? So take a look at the DXY, right? See where we are. We're back, right, to that 102 level. Okay, back to that, testing that support again. Okay, we move down to the daily. Right, we get a clear picture. Like, this is where we are, right? So are we going to hold, or are we going to find some support? With this DXYs are going to continue to push lower as we are testing these levels again. We should see some movement right at 8:30 with the retail sales data that's going to come out. So we know it's been on a decline. We are hovering at this level. Let's see what happens at 8:30. Any questions regarding, right, the US dollar right now? Nope.
Nope.
All right, awesome. So let's check into take a look at we'll move in and we'll take a look at, I want to look at some commodities first, right? Take a look at gold and see what we've got going on. So we can see here that we're still slightly bullish. Let's see what happens with retail sales. But we're up there, right? We're up there at that level. Right, we've opened the day pretty good, right? 24.58. Okay, on gold. Right, so I like the if I run my fibs off the low on the daily, I know I've been targeting levels around 2600 eventually, right? For gold. Okay, find the low. Okay, so we are still right in that technical upswing, right? We're hovering here around this level, but you can see 2637 is the daily D extension there, right? So we're still in that C to D push, right? As we've been moving long all year, right? So if I let's go out here, and now you guys can see I have my commodities that I'm following in the same workspace, right? So it's no longer uh, its own individual workspace for gold. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm adding a lot of charts, right, to the mix as we want to start moving into other things, right, besides just currencies. Okay, so run me across the lows, take a look at the 4 here. Okay. Make sure I'm catching my right low for this swing, for this daily, I mean this 4-hour swing. I have my other workspace. This was the main one that I was following. Okay. So the C to D push, right? You can see how we're just hovering, right? We're trying to break through this area, and that's that 2600 target that I was talking about. Off the 2600 on the nose is what we're ultimately looking to is 2600. Yeah, just like that. Okay. So we'll see if we push and continue bullish on gold. Any questions regarding that? So we're still looking for gold longs, right? On the quant box, it has been screaming bullish again for quite some time, right? So when you look at the scorecard, right? You're taking into account COT data, retail sentiment, seasonality, trend reading, GDP growth, inflation, labor market data, interest rate, divergence and things like that. So it is bullish. It has been that way for a long time, right? Moving out, 9 to 7 to 8. Yep, because it's then when you think about it, right, it's making sense because that's kind of bouncing back and forth, right? Bouncing back and forth. See how we're kind of just moving around here in this zone. Okay, moving around in this zone. So see if we can get some data that helps us push through the highs on this. All right, so that is gold coming over, taking a look at oil, right? Just continue to track that from the daily, move into the upside, right? Off the lows that we identified, right? Our double bottom, okay, here. And we've been pushing long ever since, okay? On oil, we had the correction, right? So we'll see if this is going to hold and create a new swing low and push higher, right? But coming off that double bottom, it has been a really good ride. So we'll continue to watch gold. We got a daily stochastic, right? That is overbought right now, right? But we'll see, right? If that's how long that wants to stay above, right? That 80% percent zone. Okay. So right? Resistance here. There. Okay. So we put in, right, we've come right back to that level. That's where, can everybody still hear me? It's telling me my connection is unstable. Everybody hear me still?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're clear.
Yeah.
You hear me? Okay. All right. So I'm getting Zoom telling me some funny stuff. So want to make sure everybody can still hear. All right. So that's where we are on gold. Let's see what happens with the action. Let's move down to our 4. Give me 1 second, everybody. Let me, there we go. Let me just slowing down on, hold on. All right. I think we are good. I think we're good. Okay. So moving back to gold on the 4, right? We can see how we are correcting to the downside. So what I'm going to do, right, is I am going to, right, just move that fib there. Okay. And we can see that we're right here in the sweet spot. Okay. On the 4, we've gotten a decent correction, right? So let's continue to watch to see right? If we're going to continue to move higher, right? And we know, right, quite often, right, we get to being overbought on that daily, and then it can get parabolic and it can just continue to push, right? So let's continue to watch it, right? So right in that sweet spot for long, I ultimately like it to stay long. So let's see, right? We put in a low here on the 4, okay? So, right, with oil, okay, be a pretty decent setup off the pullback. Okay? So put in that 4-hour support there. Okay? So we've made a nice correction. We're right in our buy zone for this setup. Let's see what happens. Right? Let's see what happens off of that level. Right? Your order activated last night. Congratulations. Great job. Putting your sevens in the chat, right? Doing your homework, right? Putting the level in, having an order activated. Great job. So let's see what happens if we continue to run long after this correction. It's been a great move, right? We did an awesome job identifying that double bottom. And so it's been a nice play so far. Let's see if we can get a continuation there. All right. You know, there's been some back and forth with it, but hey, let's see what we can get. So that is our oil play. Okay. We see silver. Okay. Come over, take a look at the daily. Okay. And I was hoping, right, on this one that we got that push back down to support, but we didn't, right? So we came into the zone, right? But it actually gave us the low on silver, right? So just these little plays, right? Rating on those swing lows, those swing highs to form. We can see that we got this low on the daily and we've been pushing long, right? Those are quality setups, right? Those are quality setups if we're willing, right, to just wait, right? If we're willing to wait and be patient, okay? This is a previous weekly level here that the market's going to look to come back to. And right, we're coming right in line with what we've been identifying, right? Come through, take a look at our dashboard and risk analysis, and look at that heat map. And we can see, right, where we have things like gold and silver, right? 4.8%, right? We've got a good move off the lows, right? So, you know, the method that I've been spending a lot of time on, right? And in the lab, spending a lot of time, right, is playing out, right? Nice bullish candlestick, right? Coming off the low, right? And now we're continuing to move higher on silver, right? So we can come down to the 4, take it down to the 1, and we can track it off that leg and see how on the 4 we're getting that move up. Okay. Pushing higher, we can come down to the 1, whatever level you want to take it down to your 1-hour chart. And we can see how price is moving strong, right? It's moving strong to the upside of that from the 1 hour. So it really get pushed down to the lows there. And right, we look at our trend line off the reversal. Okay, see how we've broken, right, through our inner trend line, through our outer trend line. Same concept. And now, all right, trying to see if we can get to that long-term trend line. And again, we've got past weekly support becoming potential resistance, right? And then we've got those daily levels. So far, so good on silver. Any questions, right? On silver. So,
No,
all right.
good analysis.
So,
Very, very good analysis on silver.
thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, sir. Appreciate the feedback on that. So look at we're you know, we've got Aussie moving up. It looked like, we've got oil moving up. We're looking like, we're risk on. We'll see. We'll definitely see what happens, right, with retail sales, see if that shifts anything. But right now, right, things are moving in a positive direction to the upside. We come here, we take a look at nat gas, right? So I had this one all the way down already on the 1 hour, but you can see that reversal, right? So this has been just a crazy move. We had a huge move to the upside that came close to that D extension a while ago now. Then it just collapsed, right? And now we're reversing off the lows, right? So we'll reverse engineer this thing because I've been back down on the 1 hour with it. But if we move back up to our daily, right, we can see, right, where price just collapsed, moved back down, and look at it around the lows, but look at the bounce that we got, right? Just tracking those swing lows and swing highs. Okay. And that's been quite a move, right? That's been quite a move to the upside, right? So we know, right, that we're overbought. We're at 98%, but we know when things, right, when you're major risk on situations, things get parabolic and keep running. We know that it can hang right up above that 80% level for quite some time. And it'll move sideways, but then we're still moving up, right? We're still moving up. We know how to read that thing now, right? So we can see how it came off the lows, right? Off the lows, and then we are moving to the upside, right? So just bringing it back down to the 4, right? Taking what the market is giving us, okay? It's your 4 hour swing there, right? We came down 50%. We're moving higher, right? And then we work our way back to the 1 hour where we started, okay? And we can see that we are pushing long, right? It is a pattern driven market. It is a pattern driven market indeed. Okay. And we can see that, right? If we work our top down analysis, no problem seeing what's going on in the market overall. No reason to get caught down in the weeds. Go from the top down, right? Every single time, right? You'll be able to trade, right? You'll be able to do your technical analysis with far greater accuracy, right? Especially when it comes to swing trading. Any questions on that, guys?
No,
Hey,
no question.
Benny.
All right.
Hey, Benny.
Yes.
Last night when I was looking at Alt Chef, like looking at I'm like why is everything in consolidation, what's going on, because the heat map says this. I started looking at the COT contracts,
Mm-hmm.
and like Alt Chef is like extremely, it's like bearish, but there are more uh short contracts for the chefs than it is
Mm-hmm.
for Aussie. And I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so they just waiting to make a decision or determination to switch what kind, if they want to bid or sell.
Mm-hmm. And then and that Swissy's been like that, right? So think about it. The Swiss National Bank has been out ahead of everybody, right? In regards to rate cuts, they're actually looking what the forecast is saying to cut again, right? To cut rates again. But we have to always keep in mind that too, right? That Swiss franc will benefit from any type of risk off situation. You get what I'm saying? So when those markets went risk
Gotcha.
off, yeah, you see, that money being parked in that Swiss franc, just that reallocation, and that just cash flows in that risk off situation because it's a safe haven, and so that risk off situation, it created a lot of corrections across the board, which it was due, right? When you look at your indices, like it was just running up and up and up. We were tracking for weeks and months, and it's like we weren't really getting any type of major corrections, right? So it was due, for that to happen in the market, but you can see the recoveries going on. So if we're in that risk on uh, environment, risk on situation, right? Then we expect, right, for the most part, there's things that could throw that Aussie off at times, like some of the data was kind of mixed coming off that report last night. But you expect in that risk on situation, most times, right, we're going to see that Aussie benefit uh, from that type of sentiment. So it's just those continuous ebbs and flows, right, in the market, all right, that we're seeing. But great observation, all right, and noticing that. So that's not gas, right? That's not gas. So let's let's move over, right, and look at. Matter of fact, we can go and we can take a look at um, right, our currency indexes, right? So when we look at just the Aussie index for that currency, right, we can see that overall, right, it is still bullish, right? That Aussie, right? And so coming to the day bullish for the most part. Now, when we're trending bullish, right, we still have those moments where it's just like the price gets high. Right? Price gets high for a currency and it needs to correct. So this is the Aussie index here, right? And it's just moving right sideways now. We haven't gotten a major correction that shows you right how strong, right, that Aussie has been, right, to the upside, right. If we come here, I always like to piece together the data. So we see the Aussie index is moving up. So let's read about it, right? The Aussie dollar rose above 66, right? That's against the dollar, right? Anytime you read these reports on trading economics, right, you can see that's going to be versus the dollar, the reserve currency. Presuming a recent rally as investors reacted to mixed domestic economic reports, right? Just said that in regards to the data that came out last night. A private survey showed that consumer inflation expectations in Australia rose 4.5% in August, or 4.3 in July. Right now, when we read something like that, what are we thinking? Somebody talk to me. What are we thinking? Inflation expectations rose, right? Month over month. What are we thinking as far as what the central
High,
bank? High,
it's
right?
high, it's
What'd you
high
say?
employment, high employment rates. I mean not wages, not rates, wages and dang it, I done lost my thought. I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. Yeah. So it could be wages, right? Sticky wages. And right, if we think inflation expectations, right, they rose, consumer inflation rose, right, month over month, right, from July to August, right, where we're looking at in like for the United States, we're looking for things to go down, right? The rate to cool off because we're thinking about, yeah, right, the need higher interest rate, right? Okay. Yep, joint spending, right, which leads to that inflation. And so both of you are right in putting the pieces together, right? So interest rates, when we think about currencies, first thing you think about interest rates. So um, we see here, meanwhile, the country's unemployment rate unexpectedly increased to 4.2% in July, the highest in 2.5 years. Last week, Reserve Bank of Australia held its rate steady, right? So they didn't cut 4.35% for the sixth straight meeting, while Governor Michelle Bullock said, right, the central bank will not hesitate to hike rates again to combat inflation, right? So that's the opposite, right, of the direction of what in regards to the rhetoric of what a lot of central banks are saying right now. Okay, so externally, the Aussie found further support from the data pointing to easing inflation in the U.S., right, bolstering sentiment around Federal Reserve rate cuts. The local currency also rallied against the Kiwi after the Reserve Bank of New Zealand surprised markets by cutting its cash rate 25 basis points to 5.25, first reduction since March of 2020. Okay, so you start to put it together. You look at the currency index; it's moving bullish. Will it correct? Yeah, it will. But overall, um, but overall, you know, it's it's moving right, and the data supports it moving in a bullish direction, right? Especially the markets shifting. The VIX is back down, right? So risk on, right now. So that's the Aussie index. So when we come in, we take a look at some of these Aussie pairs, right? You can kind of start to get an idea of which way that market is moving, right? So before you even look at the technicals, okay? So we can see here now that we're looking at these technicals on this daily. this has been a continued move up with the Aussie CAD, right? So we're kind of recovering from yesterday being down, right? We can see that our stochastic, right, has made the move all the way back up to being overbought. Let's see how long we stay up there. We can see here on the 4 hour, after we had that nice correction to the downside, right, guys? Remember that 80-20 from a long time ago? Look how it pushed right off that 61.8, and it's gotten bullish, right? Our 4 hour stochastic is in the buy zone. Let's see if that wants to continue to make the trip to the upside, right, on that Aussie CAD. So that is moving on. So we, in our minds, right, we put the pieces together, right, and we come up with a pretty solid trade idea. Any questions on that Aussie CAD? No? All right, let's take a look at that Aussie Swissy. Okay. Move into that upside, right? It's move in, right? So that's why every morning, right, I get up and I start reading the data. I'm actually glad to be back, being able to do it consistently, right? So at the university, right, it gets into crazy time come July, August, because we're thinking of September, right? Thinking of September. You know how kind of like if you ever done retail sales, right? We know in retail they make their money right at a specific time, right, during the year, right? That's kind of how it is at the university, right? Moving into the fall, that biggest semester of the year. So it gets a little crazy for me every year around this time. Things are starting to subside. So we come and take a look at the Swiss franc. It appreciated to around 85, the 85 level against the dollar, hitting levels not seen since the beginning of this calendar year, benefiting from the general dollar weakness, right? Concerns about the strength of the economy after disappointing job. So let's go to the Swiss franc. Let's talk about that specifically. On the other hand, Switzerland's annual inflation rate stood at 1.3%. So that's below 2%, right? In July 2024, unchanged from the previous month and in line with market expectations, reinforcing expectations of a third consecutive rate cut by the Swiss National Bank in September. Previously, the Swiss National Bank began its monetary policy easing earlier than global peers and has reduced borrowing costs at both of this year's decisions. Okay. Right. So sometimes when you get a grip on that data, right, and you understand that data, corrections and things like that, you know, uh, they'll fool you less and less over time. You'll say, okay, I still gonna stay headstrong on my direction because despite a correction like yesterday, because everything is pointing towards, uh, Swiss franc weakness, right? Aussie bullishness, and this is moving. So, you just continue to manage your trade, right? You have your trade plan, your trade idea, how long you may want to hold the trade, whether you run into a specific extension with the fib on lower time frames or even higher time frames, right? Just depends on, right? We try to teach you a lot of things across the board, and then ultimately you come to your own decision on how you want to handle it. Here on the 4, on this latest fib, on this upswing, right? We're just moving sideways. We haven't gotten a huge correction yet. Pullback, we may, right? Or we may keep running. So, for example, if you use your 4 hour chart and maybe you played this ABCD wave on this first fib, you're in the money. Maybe you're just now looking at this. And if your levels are, hey, I like that 61.8, 50, 786, right? Or deeper, that deep pullback, then guess what? Right? If that's what your trade plan calls for, then you're not involved in this yet until we get that pullback. Right? That's very, very important to understand. We want to stay consistent. If you're taking it off the higher time frame daily, off the swing low, that forms, you're in. If you come down and you notice it parking a low on the daily and you want to come down and get an earlier entry off the 4 hour swing low, like here, right? Then you're already in this trade. And then maybe you're looking to add to your position on the pullback. Okay, you all follow me on that? Yes, no? Am I clear?
Can you say that one more time?
So just saying, right, the different ways you may want to enter, right? So we see that we came down, we put in a low, we started to put in a low here, right? Came to a level where price was holding up and we started to reverse out. So you may say, hey, I want to play, right, the swing low game on a daily. So I'm going to enter here, right? Close of that candle, right? 2 candles to the right. That's my swing low, correct?
Yes.
Yep, that's your swing low. So I'm getting bullish here. Boom, right? Put your candle below the low if you want to, however you want to play it, right? I know some people that'll play it below and put their stop below the low of this candle, like so, like that, right? Below the low of that daily candle, however you want to play it, okay? From your daily, there we go, like that, right? As long as it doesn't take out that candle low, we're moving long, right? Or, okay, you say, I'll come down to the 4, right? We're starting to get that long, right? That wick action there. Hey, I'm starting to put it along a daily. Maybe I want to get in earlier, and I'll play the swing low off the 4. You guys follow me on that, right? Because
Yes.
you're gonna have a 4-hour swing low form before you get that daily swing, right? That's just how it goes. So we see here, right? This candle overlay. See, right? So here's our 4-hour swing low here. Here's our daily swing low right here. Okay. So depends on how you want to play it, or right, you say, hey, I want to swing low to form, AB boundary to form. Okay. Swing low forms, that's my A, right? We get a higher form, that's my B, and I wait for the pullback, right? That's just talking about things in the traditional sense, okay? And we look for the swing, right? So here was an ABCD wave there, right? Not my level, right? Looking for ABCD swing here, could it be my level, right? That's on the 4. Or we could come down, right, to our 1 hour, okay, chart to see, right, if we could catch a swing on a 1, right? Which is kind of looking like the same thing. You see, I've got that drawn up there for the pullback, right? We haven't gotten it because that's a monthly level there in this zone. So if we were able to get that, that would be beautiful, right? But we don't have it quite yet because why? The buyers are pretty strong, right? We've had just a slight pullback and a correction. But if you see here from the daily, right, this, right, this in, okay, that's a low. And it was a beautiful thing because after that huge correction, all these pairs started doing the exact same thing. They started to recover. Right? They started to recover. And so when you've got your eyes like that, because it's moving flat. When you've got your eyes right on the charts, okay, you can see right how, like I said earlier, right, it's a pattern driven market. We got after that nice, you know, correction, we pretty much got like we like to call that V-shaped recovery, right? Across the board where it was just boom, right away it started taking the price action started moving and take things back, right? Again, so we moved down, we lost, right? To the downside, the bears had taken over. We hit that certain low point and just boom, right? Market just accelerated back to the upside. Okay. So that's the Aussie Swiss. Taking a look at this Aussie yen. Okay. Same thing. V for victory for sure. W for the win and M for the money. I like that. I like that a lot. Had to put that in the community, in the chat. Really like that. So we see across the board, right? So this is how, right? Those of you who've been with us for a while, you're like, man, like, you know, I caught 1,000 something pips, right? It doesn't seem hard to do when you could track this, right? What's happening across the board, right? Here's the same, right? Here's your same recovery on the Aussie yen, Okay. There's your same recovery. We work our way down to the 4, everybody, off the lows. Okay. And coming out of the weekend, right? It moved, right? See how we had that drawn up at the low? And it moved to the upside. Okay. And so look, we're just running on the 4. We got a 382 pullback, strong bullish candle. It's amazing how it reacts at that 127. And now we're sideways, right? So we're neutral to bullish on this Aussie yen. But look at our pullback to our zone. Right? What we teach is sound. It's sound, right? We don't claim to be gurus or experts and all this stuff, right? But what we teach is sound. It's a sound approach to the market. Okay. So we're the middle of this ABCD way, like we're struggling there, right? We're struggling at that resistance level. Okay, that's cool. Right. So let's see what happens, right, with US retail sales, other data as we look to close out the week. Right. See if we can eventually get that push to that D extension on the 1. Any questions on the Aussie yet? No? All right. Aussie and ZD. Look at the move. Right? Look at the move. All right, coming off of our low here, where we got our swing low. There. Okay. It's moved over, but here's our low, right? We continue to push down. We formed a low. Look at us moving up. Okay? Moving to the upside. Those are clean moves. Clean moves, right? You see how everything got taken out on that move to the downside. Then, right, look at the recoveries that's going on, right? Look at the ebbs and flows. We're moving back up. There's that 80-20 that collapsed, right? And now we're moving long, right? We got an unexpected rate cut there, right? We're going to continue to move to the upside. Here's our 1-hour chart giving us a cleaner look, okay? All right, so we look for pullbacks and, I have to read that. Uh, 2, 4. Okay, so there we are, right, on the 1-hour chart. So overall, still moving bullish to the upside. We take a look at the Aussie dollar. Right? Look at our weekly, right? We spotted a double bottom on the weekly, right? Look at that. Moving long. Okay. Pretty good, everybody. Pretty good, right? Here's our low. Look at the move. Okay. Back to the upside. Okay. Now, here we are on a 4, right? It's just price has just been accelerating. We may not get that pullback in that correction. Stochastic back in the buy zone, right? Here's a low right here that's forming, right? We get that to form officially, we probably push through this high to the extension. We may not see that deep correction. But you can see how off the daily, right, we got long. Look at that there, right? Get a spike down to a 382, and that's just running, right? No messing around at all. That Aussie dollar is just running bullish. Now, just keep in mind that uh we've got retail sales on the Aussie dollar coming up. Okay, so that's at 8:30. Okay, so that's gonna move. That's gonna move the market, right? That's gonna move the market. If we come in with the retail sales number, you know, below forecast, we may see that move up, right? The devil's always in the details and how that market is ultimately gonna react, but we'll see, right? And as far as it goes, it's picking an ultimate direction. We're always gonna see that initial reaction, and then once, right, they tear into the data, we'll see what happens from there, right? But that's moving, that's pushing. Okay. Any questions on the Aussie dollar? No. All right. So let's look at Let's look at how things move, right, in flow. So let's take a look at. We'll go in. We'll take a look at some indices, right? Okay. Hold on 1 second. All right, so let's take a look at, right? So the S&P, right? Continuing to move. I don't know why they should, maybe it's because when I was on my time. But this is the low, right, that I've been tracking to the upside, right? So coming out of the weekend, right? Hey, we're looking for this to recover. We're continuing to get that push long on the S&P, right? The retail sales will have an impact on that today, right? So we move to the 4. Okay, we move to our 4-hour, and we can see, right, how price has just been pushing long. Matter of fact, we got a new AB boundary. Okay, does retail sales create a correction? We don't know. We'll see, but we're moving to the upside, right? If we bring that down to the 1-hour chart, okay, we can see the rally off the lows being put in, right? So if you turned around and you bought the S&P, I know people were shorting it, right, off that correction. But if you turned around and you got back long once the low was put in, right? Congratulations, right? Good job, right? Make money both ways. It's a beautiful thing how we trade. Okay, so that's the S&P moving long. Okay, if you come in here and we go and we take a look at the Nasdaq, okay? Look at the recoveries across the board. Right? This is the 1-hour double bottom, and we've been moving long, right? So our analysis, right? That's how it's doing the shifting once we move down to the lower time frame. Right? So look, okay, that's been moving long. So trust and believe, in what you're saying, right? And what your education has taught you, right? So here's the US 30. We had that all the way down to the 5, right? We go back to the daily, and we can see how here's the low. Okay. There's our recovery and our move to the upside. Okay? There's no guessing. That's which way it's moving. That's the direction that the market is moving. Okay. We come down to the 4. Right? We see we just completed an ABCD wave. Okay. Any questions on the US 30? Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see. There we go. Sorry guys, you didn't have control over your microphones. Yeah, it is, right? Donette? It's powerful. It's powerful, right? You see the market with total clarity, right? Here's the Nikkei, right? We've been tracking it. Right? Look at the recoveries. Right? Move up to the daily. It all looks the same. UK 100. Right? The FTSE. Look at it. Look at it. Moving along. Mm-hmm. We'll take a look at the ETS before we close out on that. Okay. Yeah. Right. Look at the Russell. Look at that sweet spot. Look at the low. Look at the move. Look at what we're doing here. Okay. Let's look at the price action. Okay. Same thing across the board. See if we get a correction. Right? Look how it's moved off the lows. Okay. This is the right semiconductor setup, right? SMH. Okay, ETF following, right? Off the lows. Look at that. Isn't it? You just have to when you going from your phone, Jeremy, or from your if you like what I do is I just go search them up. But if you're on your like on your major platform, like on your computer, right? If you scroll down, you can yep, down at the ETF section. Yeah, if you're from your laptop, you can go in. Like if you scroll down, a lot of them are there. But then there's a spot at the bottom where you could go in, you could type in the symbols and add it. You could type in the symbols and add it to it if you're going from from your laptop, right? So if you scroll through, you know, all your currencies, you see all your stocks, and you'll see some at least on mine, you'll see like some ETFs and some other things that sit in there. And then you have an area where you can like type in a symbol. Like for example, if you wanted to, we'll go to let's go to the ETFs, right? So we go to our ETFs and you want to look at XLK, the technology sector. Where are we at? Here, look at our tech sector. You can type it in and it'll pull it up and you can add it to your list. You can add it to your list. So this is XLK, right? So you guys see all of this is moving across the board. So okay, so we're in this technology ETF XLK, right? And so then you start to think about, well, what's the breakdown of the XLK? And we think top companies: Microsoft, Nvidia, Apple, Broadcom, uh, Salesforce, Adobe, right? So then you can start to break down into those individuals, right? So if I'm looking at this technology ETF, I can put together a workspace, right, for tech stocks, right, that are also a part of this ETF. And now we saw how the ETF was moving for tech. Look at how the stocks are moving. Here's Apple. Right? Isn't that cool? Right? There's Apple. Right? So we can continue to just drill down. Here's Microsoft. There's money to be made, everybody. Right? So when you look at moving out of you know, just currencies, right? And you continue to evolve as a trader, you'll see like, man, I can find my sweet spot across all these asset classes, right? I could take this approach across all these asset classes. So we don't trade anything differently. When we go through to calculate our risk, we still take our same approach, right? We did a little training on how to do it manually, but then it's easier just to use the calculator, right? And to calculate things, right? So that's NVIDIA, here's Salesforce, right? It's moving up, right? Here's Adobe, daily. We're picking this market off, everybody. Right? So those are your tech, right? Stocks, some of your top tech stocks. If we go into and we say we look at our ETFs and we want to look at what sector do we want to find, right? And these are all sectors broken down, right? Through the S&P. So if we say let's do XLF, which is financials, which is moving pretty good right now to the upside, right? And we drill down and we think like, whoa, what are some financial companies, right? Berkshire Hathaway, right? JP Morgan, Visa, MasterCard, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, right? We can look there, right? So we can continue to drill down. So we see the ETF is moving bullish, right? So we could come down and we can move into, right? So whether you're looking to trade, or build a longer term portfolio, look, there's Berkshire Hathaway, right? Moving long, right? 438.47 per share. Okay. And so you can see JP Morgan, long. Now I know you all see, right? Drop me a one in the chat if you see that. This is all the exact same price pattern. Right? Look at Visa, right? Gains moving a little bit slower, not as volatile, right? But moving, right? To the upside. Okay. MasterCard. Okay. Off the lows. Bank of America. Moving long. Right? You can look up, like I said, Wells Fargo, who else is it? Goldman Sachs, right? It's all tradable. It's all tradable. And you can take the exact same approach. You want to delve deeper, research the company, go deeper into the fundamentals. You can, right? You do that, have at it, right? But combining the technicals and the fundamentals, right, really help. Right? So we look at something, right? Consumer staples. Okay. Somebody tell me, right? What type of companies are we thinking about? Give me some names, right? Look at this moving higher.
Nabisco.
Yeah, like companies, right? That produce those the things that we use, right? Procter and Gamble. I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, right? Procter and Gamble, huge. Walmart, Costco. Yep, Jeremy said Walmart, right? Coca-Cola, Pepsi. So we can take this And it's probably, as Procter and Gamble is probably over its weight, right? You can break that down and you can move into consumer staples and go down to the stocks, right? And look to play the stocks. Take the L, right? I know, going, gone, right? For sure, for sure. Right? So now you all have a consistent approach to the market, what you're looking for, right? We could go into healthcare. They're all putting in rallies right now. So we know healthcare, right? The healthcare industry, Johnson and Johnson, Eli Lilly, Merck. You trade it. You can trade it, right? Get 5% discount on my company.
No, they do. They give us a 5% discount on the stock.
That's good.
And then we for quarterly, we buy in every quarterly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's good. Stay consistent with it, right? That's really good. You could buy in on that. It's really good. So
Every quarter we look for those rallies then, huh?
yeah, right? Definitely.
I show enough because my fingers show enough work hard to try to get them to rally.
Right? So, just we track this like we track anything else. Anything else, right? So utilities. Right? Moving up. So that's the approach. Any questions over anything that we covered today? I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. Right?
Benny, you covered that UCAT already?
I did not. Take a look at it.
UCAT has a 80-20 there.
Which time frame?
I believe 1 hour.
1 hour?
What? Both of them, 4 and 1.
Yeah. This one is pretty. It's been staying pretty bearish off the highs. Yeah, it's hovering. Let's see what happens with retail sales. Right. I know, Tyrone, you shorted this, right? You were short on this UCAT, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody was.
Yes. Yep.
Yep.
I have shorted it.
Yeah. That's why I remember. I remember going over this with you. Yep. So yeah, that 80-20 zone. That's the 4. Let's take a look at the 1. I see what it did. I was doing it from my phone. So this is the original 4 that pulled
Yeah,
back.
that's the 1. It was a 1.
Yeah, I'll pull it down to this one down. Yeah. So let's see what happens. Appreciate it.
For sure.
Yeah. So let's see what happens with retail sales. It's gonna be interesting at 8:30 here. Yeah.
I did a fib from that low and it's at the 61.8 right now. So
We're right here.
Mhm.
You're talking about
No, low right where the 80-20 is.
Oh, right here. Okay. On
Yeah.
this yeah.
I drew my trend line, price broke already. So
Okay. So let's see what happens. See what happens with it. Okay. Keep an eye on that. Can react either way with the data coming up at 8:30.
yep.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions over anything that we covered today? No?
No, thanks for looking at those ETF stuff. That was helpful.
Oh, you're welcome. We want to make sure we do that on a regular basis. I'm gonna continue to go through and redo my workspaces so to try to fit it all in. So all right, everybody. Have an amazing day. I appreciate you spending some time with me. I know we went over a bit, but I'll see everybody tomorrow morning, right? 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Free New York session. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Thanks.
Take
Bye.
it.